feel like when I drink, I'm like posing. It's weird. I don't know why I do that. The way I drink. Good morning. Welcome back to 11:59. As you saw, this episode is titled Bipolar Pastor. So last week I put out a video. The video was called I've been putting this off long enough or something like that. And in that video, I talked about a couple of things. And one of them, the second half of the video, I talked about how a year ago, almost to the day, a year ago, my wife and I kind of figured out, without going in and being diagnosed, that yeah, I'm probably bipolar. So I want to talk a little bit about that. First, I want to say thank you to everyone who has contacted me. That video has a ton of views. I was not expecting that. I thought this video might, but with having a title like Bipolar Pastor, but I did not expect that for that video. I've had so many of you who have reached out to me and either to encourage me or to thank me for saying, "Hey, thank you for posting this." I struggle with mental health or different stuff as well, so that's been encouraging because my biggest fear was I would post the video, basically out myself as having bipolar, and then not help anyone, and then just be like the crazy pastor who, let's not go to that church. and so it was good. It was really cool just to see like how many people were able to reach out and say, "Hey, I really appreciate that you posted this. That really helps me." So we're gonna do this video as well. Now I did have some who thought maybe. So I didn't have any negativity. Okay, so it was almost all positive. I didn't have any negativity. I had some concern in terms of like, you shouldn't label yourself. You shouldn't, these different things, right? Just keep doing what you're doing. And I get that, and I understand where that's coming from. And honestly, a few years ago, I would have probably been in the same boat. But we'll get into that here in a minute. So I want to talk for a little bit, just kind of about, because if you know anything about bipolar or different mental health, you're probably thinking, okay, what kind, blah, 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 like all these different things. So I want to go into a few things today. First is, what kind? Okay. Because this was actually part of one of the people said, or the one person said, "Hey, you shouldn't see a bipolar because," well, that was loud. It's like a trailer going by. Now I'm paraphrasing. This is not exactly what they said, so I hope I'm not like misrepresenting. But what it sounded like was, I know someone who has bipolar, and you're nothing like them, so don't worry about it. Okay, bipolar. When it comes to like what is bipolar, that's kind of a big term, and it can mean multiple things because there's multiple. Okay, here's my opinion. I'm just gonna say it. Here's my opinion. They don't really understand what bipolar is. Even like the psychiatric book. Get disclaimer: I am not an expert. I barely know what I'm talking about. I've lived with this for the majority of my life, not knowing what it was. And then the last year, my wife and I have really spent the time to dig in. She's studied this even more than I have. I'll say one more time, she is certified as a mental health coach, so she has some training in this. I am working on it. I'm working on my certification. And chaplain, pastor, those are my qualifications. Not a mental health coach, or not working on that. Not a therapist, not a psychiatrist. So technically, so I don't have any platform to stand on to sit up here and teach on bipolar, because I don't know. But what I can do is I can talk about my life and my experiences with it. So my opinion is, I was reading, we started studying stuff, and a lot of the classification stuff, they don't know. Like, it's such a new thing, like that they've started like mapping the brain and figuring all this stuff out. It's like they hardly know anything. And even one book I was reading, and at that point I kind of gave up. Like, okay, so I can't master this because the brain science master people haven't mastered this. And it basically was like, oh, like in the fourth edition of the book to the fifth edition of the book, we've changed a bunch of classifications. And what I got from it was basically, at the end of the day, a lot of these different classifications really just exist because doctors need codes to be able to bill insurance. Like, thanks. That's real comforting. This is my life you're talking about. Uh, I'm a series of, I'm a checklist on a code that you can then send off to an insurance company and bill me or bill for me. So, yeah, I don't have a lot of stock in some of that just because I know it's such a new thing. Again, I just don't have the experience. So, um, the two main. So I know there's more nuances. That's what I'm trying to say. I know there's more nuances to this. I'm gonna keep this a little bigger picture because again, I'm not here to be like, hey, now I'm the expert on bipolar. Da da da. I'm here to be like, hey, I'm an expert at my life, and not even. I'm working on it. I'm going to share my experiences with you. So there's bipolar one, which is what most people think of. So I believe, like when I said, "Oh yeah," and the person was like, "No, I know some. You're not bipolar." So that's what most people think of, and that is the one that is. And I also want to be sensitive and stuff, but like to anyone who would have bipolar one, I don't have bipolar one. I would have what would be called bipolar two. Um, and then, oh, see, I don't even remember all the terms. I should have my wife here. Bipolar two with, is it mixed states? I think it's called mixed states. And so bipolar one, essentially, that is what you think of. That's like the classic example of someone who can be, super just like sweet and this or whatever one time, and then another time it can go and it can swing the other way, and like that's when they're gambling or going out and buying cars, making risky behavior, have affairs, all those kind of things. That one is much harder to deal with because when you are in like a manic or depressive state, when you're in a depressive state, there is a risk of self harm, a much higher risk. In a manic state, that is where the risky behavior can happen. And again, this is where you hear about people with bipolar who have affairs, go off and buy cars, go gamble away all the money, all those kind of things. So that is not what I'm dealing with. I would be bipolar 2 with the hyper, whatever, no, mixed states. Basically, mine is, and I'm not the best, I do wish Betty was here because she could describe this better, but bipolar 2, it would be much less of those. So there is still like you have your base state, you have obviously a depressive state and a manic state. And at least for me, again, I can't talk and tell you what bipolar 2 is. And all this stuff. I'm gonna tell you what it is for me. So there's obviously base state, which would be what you would think of, and again, I'm not using great terminology, but for layman's terms, is like the true self. Like that's like if you didn't have bipolar, base state is who you are, like without it, right? So like who you are, if you're watching this and you don't have bipolar, who you are is like your base state, right? And so if you added bipolar on top of that, then you'd have the other two, polar opposites. And then there's the depressive state, which is more of like a lower energy, and then there's like the manic, or in my case, like the hypomanic state. I don't remember, to be honest. And that's more of the energy, the extra energy, really for me, it comes out to be more of just agitation. Uh, yeah, sure, I guess I have more energy, but I also have that energy at base state. So for me, it's mostly just it's the agitation. It's like it's like my base state with a bunch of irritation, agitation, almost like anxiety type, not literal anxiety, but that like anxious energy that causes me to be like short and like let's just get things done, and why is no one doing things fast enough? That kind of thing. So okay, going through them. So base state's obviously normal. I kind of talked about that. So yeah, that is, I have to be really careful when I'm manic because I can tend to just be a jerk. Because um, to me, it's like efficiency, logic, common sense. Why are people being slow and stupid? And that's the state I get in. And it's like, and it feels like you're running for the carrot, but the carrot, never get any closer. And so it builds up feedback into the point of like frustration, like, come on, let's just keep working. Oh, we're just spinning our wheel. And then it eventually will burn out and turn into a depressive state. And so it's very much like grand ideas. Let's do this and let's do this outreach and let's build a campus or like go build a building and this and that. And then like things are happening, it can be really irritated. Like, why didn't they do this? Or why is this? Or just little things, right? Like little, like, it can be as simple as like, why can't we set this as an automatic bill? Why do I have to pay this every month? Why can't we go in and just have them just automatically charge this like the rest of our bills? Like, this is so stupid. Do we even need this? Should we just cancel this? And you're like, yeah, no, our garbage service is pretty important. We can just take it down to the dump every month or every week. What's the big deal? So just, I can make bad decisions in terms of like overly, just, whatever, right? And things can be like very much like, well, that's stupid, and can get into that situation. I can, yeah. And so that's it. And I have to be careful with people, because this is when I can be rude. I can be short. I talked in the last video about how the lady said like, oh, sometimes you seem approachable, sometimes you don't seem approachable. When I'm manic, I don't seem approachable. I seem like I'm irritated or angry, and I try to not, like, even if I don't like it. It's something to do with like my body language, my posture. So I try to not be that way, but it kind of puts off a signal. So really, I can't really hide that. I have to then just kind of try to shift out of it. A lot of my views on bipolar are much heavier based on my Christian worldview than the actual current medical field. And so some of the things, if you follow this channel, you're going to get this from a very Christian, biblically based worldview. So for me, like, I think of bipolar as my superpower, not as like my excuse. And I know a lot of people, and again, I don't know a lot of people bipolar, but I know the stereotype is bipolar is used as an excuse for bad behavior, for laziness, to excuse things they've done. I don't see it that way. A superpower is probably a little bit far. The best way I can explain it is when we first found this out, and I was talking with Brandy, was talking with Tristan when I first told him, and it was kind of like a sympathetic response of like, oh man, I'm sorry you have to deal with this. I'm like, no guys, you don't realize from your perspective, like, yeah, I just found out I have this, but from my perspective, like, I didn't just get a diagnosis or self-diagnosis of bipolar. I now have the answer. So how I described it is, look, I've been living my life. Like, I don't know, most of my life this way. I don't know how long, like when it started, but like, this is my life. And I feel like I've been driving a car without understanding like I have had to figure everything out. And then all of a sudden at like 40 years old, you then hand me like the owner's manual of the car, and you hand me a like traffic book of how to drive. And I'm like, oh, this makes so much more sense. This is why, yeah, when I go through those red lights, this is why people get really mad at me and people flip me off. That makes sense. Oh, this is why, yeah, I figured a lot of this stuff out, but now I understand the reasons why. And so to me, it's more of it from that perspective. Okay, something that I actually didn't think that I was going to talk about. I didn't think of it. Paranoia is a part of bipolar. And so I'm always paranoid that the audio's not recording or something's not working or whatever. So that's why a lot of times halfway through my video, I'll just stop and go check it. Because I'm like, is it actually working? That and the fact that I've actually had to happen numerous times over the years doing video stuff. So yeah, for me, it's less of a, oh, poor me, I just got this thing, and more of like, hey, good for me. Like I finally now have the owner's manual, or at least have an idea, like the concepts have been explained to me. I spent years of my life, to be honest, just feeling like I was cursed because I couldn't get things off the ground. I would watch other people my age have more success in areas than me, or then I started seeing younger people than me. And I just started feeling like I was cursed. And like the whole, like I just couldn't, like I was never gonna be successful. I couldn't accomplish certain things. And it just wasn't for me. And I kind of found the verse about like, oh, I should have looked it up, but like, the same potter who makes, I'm gonna really butcher this, but basically like the same potter who makes like a nice fine china cup can also make like a dirty ashtray, right? And it's not for the thing made to complain. Super, like that's even the message doesn't paraphrase it that much. I apologize. That's not the actual verse, but that's a like pulling out the meaning of the verse. And so I got to the point where I was like, okay, well, who am I to complain? Like, if my whole purpose is to basically just be a loser and never be able to accomplish all these things that I have ambition for, I'm still just I'm gonna pull a Job. Like I'm still gonna, serve God and at least bring him glory that way. At least I can bring him glory. Like even if I'm never gonna accomplish all these things in my heart and kind of be a loser in life, at least I can still follow and faithfully serve God. And there's points in my life where I just resigned to, I guess that's all I can do because like I'm never going to be able to. And there was times where I was like, man, why do I have all this? If I'm this kind of person who can't accomplish these things, then why do I have this desire? And so I'd battle back and forth between, and like when we were first married, now this is a long time ago, but when we were first married, like she did not want to be a pastor's wife, obviously. I don't think any pastor's wife does. 1 out of 100 is like, I'm going to marry a pastor one day. And she was like, okay, I don't want to marry someone who is either a pastor or a politician. And so obviously we got into ministry. And when we were first married, for a long time we were first married, she would have been like her dream life would have been if we had just like if I had become like a insurance salesman or some sort of like steady traditional job, real estate agent, any of those kind of things. Teacher would have been fine. And we got a nice little home, nice little yard, raised our family, and lived in our little home, and lived a calm, peaceful, modest little life. That would have been, I may be over representing her, but that essentially that would have been like her dream. And so I would feel bad. I'm like, so I have all this ambition to be great, but I can't accomplish any of it. And so instead, like if I could just let this go and just go for good enough, we could be happy. But because I have this ambition, like there were times where she would tell me, okay, we need diapers and we need these groceries so we can have dinner tonight. And I'd go out and I'd go door to door and I was painting curbs. And I was like, I have to make this much money so I can then go to the grocery store and buy diapers and buy ground beef or whatever it was that night. And I'm like, man, if I could just be like a normal person and have a normal job and not have this ambition that like during the day I'm trying to build a business and trying to do this thing. And then at night I'm, doing this door to door, or the afternoon doing door to door, after people get home from work, trying to paint curbs just to actually make some money. Which eventually led into car sales. So I was like, man, if I could just go and get and be normal, like I could actually have a decent life. But instead, so I was like, man, if I could only get rid of it, if I could either just be successful and actually do the things I want to do, or I could just get rid of this ambition and be content with a normal life. And so I felt cursed that I had this ambition way up here, but I didn't have like the ability to actually pursue it. So it was a relief to know, oh, I'm not cursed in the sense of like I struggle with the consistency because you try being 3 people and try to pull something off, right? So in one sense, I feel like I have to work 3 times as hard because sometimes, which I'm not based very often. So sometimes I'm quote unquote me, and then other times I go depressive and I just have a much less drive and energy. It's almost like being trapped in your body where it's like, yeah, I have all these goals and I know I should go and I should do this, but I don't want to do anything. And then other times it's the manic where it's like, oh, it's this. I get to the end of the day and I realize, oh, I've been doing busy work all day. If I just slowed down enough and been thoughtful, I could have been more intentional about my day. Yeah, I did 24 things today. I got like 24 things on my to-do list done. But they were all like little busy work things. Like I didn't actually move closer to my goals at all, which is why I've created the 100 routine days to greatness to help me, so I can look at the end of my day, and even if I do just, oh man, the day got away from me and I did all these things, or if I'm depressive, I'm like, oh yeah, the day, day's gone. What did I actually do? I can at least be like, okay, no, what did I check off towards those goals? Like I said, I will accidentally get there. So as long as I'm hitting like at least 5 of the 11, well, 10 plus the bonus one, at least I'm like not going backwards. I'm at least kind of holding ground. And as long as I'm hitting more than I'm not, like, okay, I'm kind of accidentally, moving towards greatness with these routine days. So that's the idea behind that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I posted a video called, I think I call it 100 Routine Days to Greatness, where I talked about kind of my system I've created to help with this. I couldn't go into some of the details of the why trying to create this consistency, but now obviously I can. So that video should make more sense in context. Okay, so I talked about manic, a little bit, edgy, spinning wheels, kind of a jerk, kind of off-putting, don't seem approachable. Then there is, got an alarm going off here. That's clearly I'm up. Then there is the depressive, and the depressive is, again, it's a little more like less energy, less desire, more apathy. Just like, yeah, no, I should get up and I should go do this thing. And it's really important, and it would probably push me towards what I'm trying to do, but yeah, I don't care. Like, I'm gonna sit here. And now I've learned, when I said superpower, I've learned over the last year what to do in those different well, we'll come back to that. So ironically or oddly or interestingly enough, whatever the right word is, you would think when I'm working out a lot, it's because I'm manic. And Tristan struggled with this. Tristan would be like, "Oh, you've been at the gym a lot. You must be manic." I'm like, "No. It's the opposite. When I'm manic, I skip nope, don't have time for the gym, don't have time for personal devotion, don't have time to pray with the Lord for an hour and a half in the morning. I gotta get stuff done. I got a to-do list. Let's do it. Let's get to it. I want to get this done. Let's run here and do this and get this done." And there's just so much I could be getting done by 10 o'clock that if I sit around and I work out in the morning and I pray and I read my Bible until 10 o'clock, then the day's already well, I grew up here my whole life. You're burning daylight. The day's it's already 10 o'clock. You've lost the advantage of the morning and you're not getting anything done. That's manic. When I'm depressive, I don't really want to do anything, but I like to work out. And so that's something where it's like, I have the time to go work out for an hour and a half, 2 hours. What else am I going to do today? Might as well go work out. And then it also makes me feel better. I was talking with my kids on the way, where I'm in Round Mountain right now. I was talking with the kids on the way up here, and we're talking about this, and it would take too long to say why, but I was basically like, with the exception of people who have an actual chemical imbalance, you have a chemically induced depression. Your body isn't producing something, you need medication, like an Eeyore type thing, right? Eeyore is depressed when he's happy. Right? There's something wrong, and not that there's anything wrong with him, but that's not I'm feeling bad right now. That's just his natural state. That's the way he is. It could be whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. There's probably a term for that. I don't know. What I'm talking about is all the other depression, the anxiety, the depression, but from the pressures of life, right? I was basically I feel the majority of that could be, I don't want to say cured, but when you work out, it kind of fixes that. You can be sad, depressed, anxious, those things. You go, you work out and you eat well, and it's going to cause you to feel better. And so it's oh yeah. And so when I'm manic and I go, and even, or depressive, and it makes me feel better. There's endorphins, there's dopamine, there's just all the things. And so then I feel better when I work out. So I like to work out when I'm depressive. And sometimes when I'm manic, it will calm me down too. So it's just harder to get in the gym when I'm I got all these things I got to do. But if I do get in the gym, it helps with that too. But that'll be a whole nother video I think I'll talk about with eating well and physical fitness and how that can help and all. We'll do that as a whole separate video. Okay, so depressive is when I am much more consistent working out. What else want to talk about? So, okay, I'm going to end this video. I don't have time to go into everything. I'm not going to talk about mixed states and all that kind of stuff. Those can be other videos, and you can leave a comment on anything I said if you want me to dive into more or any other kind of things you want me to go into. But I want to talk a bit for a second. When I kind of said, oh, it's my superpower. And what I mean by that is, and no, yes, it is still a handicap. I would rather just be base all the time, because when I'm base, it's the best of both worlds. I can be consistent. I can be a go-getter, but also be kind and compassionate. I can be, well, okay, here's the best way. This is going to make sense to 5.5% of you. When I'm base, I get to be both digital and analog at the same time. And so it's the best of both worlds, right? And I would kind of think of like being manic as like being like digital or hyper digital, and then being depressive is like being analog. Some of you that made perfect sense. Some of you are like, what did you just say? How did what is what is digital and analog? What are DVDs versus VHS? CDs versus cassettes have to do with any of this? But for those of you who that helped, that probably helped. So when I'm depressive and I have less, I've learned that one or two deep tasks that I can just draw out all day is better. So like when I'm depressive, that's when I do a lot of my studying. And I can spend hours just studying things. Especially I like to listen to audio, so I can go out and like mow the lawn, or like I have a video game I play, or I draw, and I can just sit and I can listen. I can literally spend like 10 hours, like anywhere from like 6 to 10 hours in a day, just sitting and reading slash like listening to audiobooks and studying a topic. And so there's a benefit to that. So instead of being like, oh, I'm depressive, I can't really do anything, I'm just gonna stay in bed all day, I will spend the day, and sometimes it is in bed. It's literally like, I spent like 8 hours of today in my bed, but also listening to stuff, reading, right? I'm just gonna use it interchangeably. 97% of the time when I say reading, I actually mean listening to audiobooks. Because if I sit down to just read, I'm probably going to fall asleep. So it's typically audiobooks, the drives back and forth. It's funny, but and this will be another video too. But like, and I thought this was done. This just came up again. But we'll get criticized for pastoring two churches, and it's like you should just pastor our church and not be. I'm like, I don't think you realize how much of my studying is done on the road as I'm listening to things. I have a 3-hour drive each way. That's 6 hours a week. Now, I'm going to sit here and be sanctimonious and say I'm studying the Bible every single. No, I have other things. I have biographies. I have church history I'm listening to. I have sometimes if I'm falling asleep, music. I'm not a big music person, but if I'm falling asleep, I'll switch over to some music. I'll listen to. And I have fiction books because it's good for your brain. Like there's studies and stuff. So it's almost like therapy in terms of brain fatigue. I have fiction books, so it's not all. Like I've been listening to Jack Reacher's series and enjoying that. It's like it's not like it's all just study, but a lot of it is. So I'm like, out of those 6 hours, there's like 3 to 6 hours of studying. So it's like, first off, like, what does it matter? Okay, you want me to be more like this pastor, but he sits in the office or he goes to a Starbucks, right? Let's say twice a week for 3 hours or once a week for 6 hours to do his studying. I do it while on the road. What's the difference? Why does it matter? Well, and it's like, well, if he's here at Starbucks, we could call him and he could come. I don't get calls for those kind of things. I literally have to print out t-shirts that say, call your pastor. I have to beg every Sunday, please fill out the QR code. Like I tried to call you this week and I didn't have your information. Like I realized so many of you don't have your information in our database. Like scan the QR code, fill out the Connect card. Like, so that is obviously not an issue. I'd get it if it was an issue. So the whole Round Mountain thing, that there's a lot of my study time. I love the term redeeming the time. Yard work, I'm always listening to an audiobook. A lot of times that I am listening to a fiction because it's a time to kind of relax and wind down. But no, a lot of times it is, especially if I'm studying a topic and I typically won't study scripture while mowing the lawn because there's too much of thinking about mowing the lawn. So it's either fiction or like a topic. Like I can study a topic, but not as well the actual Bible. That's better in the car, or sitting and while I'm drawing. So when I'm depressive, there's a lot of tasks I can do, but it's like I said, I spent half the day. If it's a really bad day, I'll literally just spend the entire day, like maybe just listening, or AKA reading. Again, I'm gonna just say reading because it sounds cooler. But I'm actually reading by listening to audiobooks. So I'll spend, I can literally spend, well, back when I was in New York and I was really studying to get my minister's license, on the weekends, I'd have 2 days off on the weekend, and one of those days I'd spend 6 to 8 hours studying, and another day I would spend like 10 to 12 hours, because I was trying to cramp and really get things going. So when I'm in that state, I can sit all day and do one task. It's like, the opposite of ADD. It's like hyper focused. I can do one thing, editing. I can sit there for hours and not move. Like I literally have to get up to use the bathroom to make myself get up to use the bathroom because I have to use the bathroom and I've been sitting here for X amount of hours and I'll just edit and edit videos. So I've realized, oh, when I'm depressive, it's like, okay, if I'm base and then I shift over depressive, think of it as like, oh, I'm in a box and I have a couple tools available to me. If I try to work on things that need these tools over here, it's not going to work. I'm going to end up, whatever, frustrated, tired, sleeping. So pick up the tools that I'm in. Okay, think of it as not a box. Let's think of it as a workroom. I have two offices. I have an office here in Round Mountain, and I have an office in Ely. So think of it as two offices. When I'm in this office, these are the tools I have, and these are the tasks that I can work on, or I can just pace my office and be frustrated I don't have the right tools or the right commentaries, the right books here, right? Then when I go into manic, just think of that as, okay, now I'm in this office. So these are the things I have. This is when I'm much better at all the little tasks. I need to get this done. I got to get this thing posted. I got to get this here done. I've got to shoot this video. I've got to do this. I got to call and take care of these things. And these are the days where I'll make a to-do list of 33, 34 things and get 24 of them done, right? Where I can go through and do like almost a week's amount of work in one day. Start early in the morning, probably skip the gym. I can start early in the morning and just go do and just thing after thing after thing after thing, right? Where over here, I'm like hyper focused on one or two things all day. Over here, I'm constantly like, it's like the super like ADD where I'm like, do this for a little bit, do this, and I just want to get it done. I want to get, what do I have to still do to get, why is this still on my to-do list? Okay, it's just this one little, just do it really quick. Boom, it's done, okay. All right, what's the next thing? And a lot of times on days like this, I will take my to-do list and I'll even just help me focus more so I don't just bounce all around on everything. I will take and I will literally make a separate to-do list that says the next three things. One of my videos, you actually saw this on my whiteboard in Ely, and I literally, it was like the next three things. And I'm going to do this. Okay, now I'm going to do this. Okay, now I'm going to do this. Okay, erase the board. What are the next three things I'm going to do? Sometimes though, it's almost like, when you have a microphone in front of a speaker and it gets feedback, sometimes that can build up and I can burn myself out. So I can either burn myself out and get frustrated, which typically will then push me over into a cycle of depressive, or there's certain activities I can do, like I'll go for a drive or I'll go mow the lawn. Like mowing the lawn is definitely like a good thing to do. It's actually mowing the lawn is a great activity, whether I'm depressive or manic. So it's like, okay, let me just go and do something physical. And this is why sometimes I'm just like, I need to get away from a computer, notebook, books, all this stuff, and I just need to do something physical. A lot of times I can't even listen to something. I'm like, I'm not going to listen to something. Sometimes it's like, depending on the level, I can't listen to like something I'm studying. I need to listen to a fiction. And other times I'm like, no, I need to listen to nothing. And I need to just, do something. So, this is why sometimes like you may think it's weird if like, wait, you got home from Round Mountain yesterday. You drove 3 hours from Round Mountain. You did a service. You got up the next day. You drove 3 hours back home, and now it's the evening, or now it's Saturday morning, and you and your wife are going for a drive? Like, what is wrong with you? That's another thing I can do. Like, okay, let me just, and that one crosses both too. Oh, let's just go for a drive and kind of relax. And then other times it's like, I got all this like nervous, it's got into a feedback loop. Like let's just go for a drive. Let's go grab a drink and let's just go for a drive. And then this is why I need to get better at certain like activities, like, I'm trying to pick up archery. I need to actually start doing that, certain things, right? In fact, I'm actually experimenting right now, studying/experimenting with practicing the Sabbath. And so there'll be more videos about that coming as I have more practical experience with it. So today is Friday. So we had the service last night. Then I had youth. Then I went back to the parsonage. I worked on some stuff, and then I went to bed. I actually listened to a fiction book, drawing until I was tired enough to go to bed. So then I go to bed, right? Get up this morning. I'm doing this video. I was supposed to go to the gym. I'm probably manic, so I did it. I really want to get this video done. So, and we got to get, it's 6:39. I got to get it on the road at 7, because then we have a funeral. we have a graveside service that I'm going to be praying over. So I gotta get home and get showered and changed in order to be at this thing at noon. But then at 6, so then I'm going to basically, we'll get done with the funeral and I'll have several hours to get whatever I think is most important done. And I'm really worrying right now between some study for Sunday or some editing I need to do. And then, at 6, I'm going to try to practice the Sabbath, and because it's something I don't know if I'll keep doing this, but it's something I'm experimenting with and trying right now. So from 6 on Friday to 6 on Saturday, and I don't know what kind of things, I don't even have my list of these are do's, these are don'ts, but I know I'm going to incorporate more physical stuff, because I know that physically, tactilely, like touching things and working with things. Which is why I like the lawn mowing, certain things. Sometimes I'm like, oh, let me just go. Typically I have Judah reset chairs in the sanctuary, but sometimes I'm like, I need to do this. I just need to sit here and physically move these chairs around. So I'm planning on this Saturday. I have a really cool Lego set. I'm not a huge Lego guy, but I've had this one Lego set. It's the Star Destroyer from Star Wars. I've wanted most of our marriage, and Brandon got it for me in November for my birthday, and I haven't had time to work on it. So I'm like, I'm gonna start working on that, on these sets. That's one of the things I'm gonna do. As of right now, yard work is gonna be on the okay list of things I can do. And so I have to experiment with some people no, yard work, that's work. You can't have that on the list. And other people are like, oh yeah, that's, no, and I'm not going with the traditional Jewish, you can do nothing. You can't even push an elevator button. I'm not trying to be legalistic with it. I'm trying to be, or super detailed with it. I'm trying to be oh, I can't do things that are going to drain me. They need to be restful, contemplative. Well, analog, right? Not digital stuff, analog stuff. And I don't mean that literally. I mean that, again, metaphorically. So some of you that's confusing, some of you it makes sense. So I'm going to work on the Lego set. There's certain things I want to start doing more physical projects. I watch Casey Neistat, and he's always physically customizing his things. His brother Van Neistat is constantly building these little projects that are interesting. In fact, things that remind me of they're interesting, and I'm oh, I'd love to do that. I just don't have time for that. So I'm gonna start putting together almost another do list, but they're gonna be here's things to do while on the Sabbath, and they're gonna be those physical, kinetic, practical things. And again, I'll have to, this is an experiment. So I may get to the point where I'm no, these things are a little too much work still. So we'll see how that goes. Reading physical books. So instead of sitting and listening and, I'm gonna, I have so many physical books I actually want to read. And I just don't have the time, or I'm too rushed, or slow down. It's the Sabbath. I can sit here and I can just read this book. For the next 3 or 4 hours, I'm going to sit here on my hammock in the yard and read this book. Stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that affects it. Somehow I thought that applied at some point in this conversation. I will have videos on that as I document that process. So I was talking about going for drives and stuff like that. That's right. So that is a real, just a nutshell. There's the base. Oh, and using the office example, when I'm base is both the offices are connected. Imagine, there's a door right here. You can't see it. It goes into a closet, but imagine instead of a closet, it went into the other office. So it'd be having two conjoined offices. Jack and Jill, bedrooms, that would have, you'd have a bathroom in between the two. Imagine it that, where it's anytime I need to pass through, I can go from one office to the other. So that would be base. I can come over here and I can focus on something for hours if I need to, or I can come over here and be scatterbrained and jump all around, do all these things. I can move back and forth freely. Like I said, but I don't spend a lot of time there. And so, yeah, that's kind of a summary of that. So when I say, bipolar pastor, that is kind of the 50,000, maybe 20,000 foot view, kind of going over some of that. And yeah, hopefully that's interesting or helpful to some others. I want to kind of do a Gary V, the document, don't create. Definitely there's still gonna be a lot of creating on this channel. I have, topical Bible study vlog style, or just talking head videos where we're digging into different things. I've got some videos planned coming up where they're going to just be answering questions, or whether it be someone literally asked me a question or had a prayer request that, yes, we'll pray, but at the same time, some counseling would probably help there. And obviously I'm not going to little Timmy said, right? You don't have to worry about that. It'll be, generic. No one will know I'm talking about, and it probably won't even be your exact situation. It'll be a little more general, so it can help as many people as possible. Q&A stuff, sometimes just things we've seen. Like I had a conversation with someone from the church the other day where I'm like, I feel like this could be something that could be discussed in a video, like the concepts from this conversation. Again, it's not gonna be a time for me air dirty laundry and say so-and-so did this and this is what the Bible says. It's not for that. It will be for like the general concepts that I get, to have those. So there will be the crate, but then the document part is going to be hey, I'm trying to figure this out and I'm going to talk about this because this could be helpful for others. Like, I don't know, maybe I just got up here and spent like the last 45 minutes just rambling and it was just a complete waste of my time. I should have gone to the gym. Or maybe someone's like, oh my gosh, that was super helpful. The way you explained the two offices or the whatever, like that was super helpful. I needed that. I needed to hear that. So hopefully it's the latter. If so, let me know. So I know that there's a point to this. And then, also, and part of the document too is like, I'm documenting the 100 routine days. I'm documenting that's not going great, by the way. I'm documenting I'm going to have to account for like, in ministry, there's just times where my entire week was just gone. Like I don't like oh yeah, you set a routine, but then you were at camp all week or, whatever it may be. Like last week I was out of town for 2 days. Like one was to Vegas to the airport, and then one was I went out to Teen Challenge, and then I went and visited a parishioner. And so by the time it's like 4:00 by the time, and I'm tired. I've been visiting and meetings and not counseling, but visiting and meetings all day. This week, same thing. Monday and Tuesday are going to be out of town. Like Monday, I'm going back to the airport to take her back to the airport. Tuesday, I'm going to Battle Mountain to go visit and spend the day with Zach, a pastor. He's the pastor in Battle Mountain, a friend of mine. So like, okay, so how do I fit some of this stuff in? So anyways, documenting that process. And then, like the whole trying to do the Sabbath thing, I'll document that, So, we'll see. And we'll see kind of, as it goes down, like what the channel becomes and what content people respond to the most, we'll do more on. So if like doing I can go back to doing like a kind of like I was doing Rock Talk, like a daily devotion, if that seems like it's needed, right? If more of the bipolar stuff is more and mental health stuff, I'll go more to that direction. If it's more of the just a day in the life of a rural pastor, especially one who's pastoring 2 churches, 200 miles apart, like maybe that, whatever, I'll kind of focus as I kind of see. I'm going to try, almost like the spaghetti on the wall approach to see what sticks. So let me know if it's a video you like and you want more of that kind of stuff. Obviously like it, share it. Share it on your Facebook page. You'll get more views, and I'll be like, oh, okay, I should do more of this. Leave a comment. Let me know that you don't want more of this kind of content. So I think that's all I got. All right, I will see you guys in the next video.